Hey guys, alright, ready for some Frankensteining. Gotta get the strings out of the way. This is the fretless project I was telling you about. Now, I'm not sure of how they put these frets in. We're going to find out in a minute. There are several different schools of thought on how to go about doing this kind of thing. So, first things first, I'm going to try to heat them up. And I learned that from Dan Earlywine, master repairman who knows quite a lot about this stuff. Now, I'm doing this as a novice. I did this once to another bass of mine, and it was a hoot. So I'm using some heat. So I'm going to heat up the fret a little bit. And I know I had another soldering iron that I used on another project, on my other project. Oop, that's the thing you got to be careful with. This is going to be a little boring for a little bit. Now, if I get some burn marks in this one, like I said, this is my cheapie that I'm doing some Frankensteining on here. Now, I may slip a couple of times, but what I'm trying to do is soften this up, because if this was inserted and had glue on it, oops, hopefully this will loosen some of the glue that's under there. So I don't know whether or not these were pushed in, like sideways, like the Fender method, or if they were pressed in, hammered in. So we're about to find out. In maple neck, when they do maple neck frets, or I should say when they fret an instrument with a maple neck, they usually push them in sideways, a la Fender style. And I know a lot of people would freak out when they see stuff like this. Okay, so I'm going to try to get a little bit of an edge under there. Let's see if it'll come up. Now what you want to do, and you're trying to do this with minimal chip. Seems like it's going to come up pretty good. If I get a little bit of wood chipping, that's okay. At least for me. This is my guitar. See? And there you go. Now, because I beat on this fret a little bit, I'm not going to use this again. I'll come in there with some sandpaper and sand down some of that stuff, but I'll go ahead and keep going. I went and took a little scrap piece of wood to push the strings out of the way, so I can make a little room to work here. So I'm just going to keep going. So I'm finding the best way to do this. There's a little bit of tapping. I'll pry up a little bit so I can get under there. So that'll give me a little bit of bite, so I can get under there with my pliers, or my fret nippers, or fret pullers actually. I can use them to nip too, I guess. One day I'll invest a couple of bucks to do some StewMac tool shopping and get good tools to do this type of thing. So I found that a little bit of heat, and the tapping work, and wood burning. This seems to be the way to go. A little bit of heat, and oh boy, the hands of a surgeon. Give it a little bit of pressure and lock it out. And be careful, frets are hot. Minimal wood chip. There's a little bit here and there. I get a close-up of it when I'm done. Last one. Here, I'll give you a closer look at the fingerboard. Not too bad. A couple little burn marks there. Oops. I'm out of focus. Oh, come on. Anywho. A little bit of burn marks there. Very minimal chipping, luckily for me. Now, I would never do this on anyone else's guitar. But since this is, like I said, my cheapie, and you know, I'm practicing my Frankensteining on it, not too bad. I'm using my fret leveler with a little bit of sandpaper on it. Smooth out the fingerboard a little bit. I kind of do an X pattern so not to see too many marks on the fingerboard. And what I'm trying to do is just smooth this out a bit so there aren't too many ridges. And it's kind of tough to do this one here because there's a fret in the way. So cleaning out the fret slots a bit and just using an old toothbrush. Get some of the dust out of there. So now sometimes the conventional way of doing things is to use some kind of a very thin veneer and fill in the fret slot. I'm going to do what Jocko did on his bass many moons ago. He used like wood filler, wood putty, and filled in the lines. That's why his bass still had, you know, what seemed like lines in it. So he just filled in the fret slots with wood putty. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a very dark putty and see how that turns out. Okay, so I'm using this dark wood filler type putty. It's called color putty. So we're going to try some of this. I'm going to use an old pick that I made out of a credit card to kind of force it into the fret slot. Oh. Let's see how this goes. And those fret slots. Now the thing about the putty is it's going to fill in all kinds of other imperfections. So if there's a slight dip or rise around where the fret was, there's going to be a couple of spots where you can see where I dinged the fingerboard when I was trying to get, you know, when I was trying to pry up the fret. And that's okay. Again, my Frankenstein, my imperfections. I can deal with it as that as we can. And there you go. The lines are filled in. As soon as this dries a bit, I'll sand it down again. And there you go. Should be just about done. Hey guys, here it is. Frets out. Wood filler in. So you can still see the lines and things. Do it. Take care.